Once, there was a bold vision to transform the Philippines into a modern, interconnected nation, one where cities and provinces would be linked by sleek, efficient railways, and where travel would be faster, safer, and more accessible for millions. This vision, however, has now encountered a major and unexpected roadblock, casting uncertainty over the country's future infrastructure. For years, three ambitious railway projects, collectively valued at nearly $5 billion and backed by Chinese financing, stood as beacons of hope. These projects promise not just faster travel, but also the potential to boost economic growth, create thousands of jobs, and foster a sense of national unity. The anticipation was palpable as communities along the proposed routes imagined new opportunities and a brighter future. The Mindanao Railway, the Subic Clark Railway, and the South Long-Haul Line were each designed to serve as vital arteries in a new era of Philippine transportation. These lines would have connected distant regions, reduced travel times dramatically, and helped integrate the archipelago's diverse communities. But in a sudden turn of events, the Philippine government has decided to withdraw from the Chinese funding agreements, effectively bringing these transformative plans to a standstill. The reasons are complex, involving concerns over financing terms, project delays, and a lack of clear communication from Beijing. With silence from China and mounting uncertainty, Manila has been forced to look elsewhere for more dependable partners. The abrupt halt has left millions of Filipinos frustrated, especially those who had hoped for relief from daily traffic jams and long commutes. It has also sparked a national conversation about the risks and rewards of relying on international partnerships for critical infrastructure. This cancellation is not an isolated incident. Around the world, countries are re-evaluating their involvement in China's Belt and Road Initiative, weighing the benefits against the risks of delays, debt, and shifting political priorities. For many, the focus is now on protecting national interests and ensuring that projects are completed on time and on budget. The journey toward a truly connected Philippines will undoubtedly face more obstacles. Yet, the dream is far from over. With determination, new partnerships, and lessons learned, the hope for a modern railway system remains alive, just waiting for the right moment to get back on track. The story begins with former President Rodrigo Duterte's ambitious Build, Build, Build program, a sweeping initiative that aimed to overhaul the Philippines' aging infrastructure and usher in a new era of connectivity and economic growth. Duterte's administration saw infrastructure as the backbone of national development, promising new roads, bridges, airports, and railways to link far-flung regions and boost the economy. To realize this vision, the government pivoted toward China, seeking both technical expertise and substantial funding. China, eager to expand its influence in Southeast Asia, responded enthusiastically, offering loans and support as part of its global Belt and Road Initiative. Negotiations soon began for three major railway projects: the Mindanao Railway, the Subic Clark Railway, and the Bicol Railway. These projects were touted as transformative, promising to connect key economic hubs, create jobs, and improve the lives of millions of Filipinos. For China, these deals were a chance to showcase the Belt and Road Initiative's reach, strengthening economic and diplomatic ties with the Philippines while opening new markets for Chinese companies and technology. For the Philippines, the promise of billions in capital was a lifeline, an opportunity to finally address decades of underinvestment in transport and logistics, and to catch up with its rapidly developing neighbors. The agreements were celebrated with much fanfare. High-level visits, signing ceremonies, and photo ops signaled a new chapter in Philippine-China relations, with China Exim Bank named as the primary lender for these flagship projects. The projects were carefully chosen for their potential to drive regional growth, modernize public transport, and stimulate local economies. Hopes ran high that these railways would transform the country's landscape and set the stage for future prosperity. But as the months passed, the reality proved more complicated. Negotiations over loan terms dragged on, bogged down by technical details, shifting requirements, and concerns over debt sustainability. Despite public announcements and repeated assurances, the actual release of funds lagged far behind the government's promises. Construction sites remained idle, and progress stalled. By the time Duterte's term ended in 2022, the much-anticipated loans were still pending. No funds had been dispersed, and the projects remained on paper, with little to show for years of negotiation. The fate of these ambitious projects was left hanging, a complex challenge inherited by the incoming administration. Hopes for a quick breakthrough faded as the new government faced the daunting task of reviving stalled negotiations. What began with optimism and grand promises had, for now, become a story of delays, uncertainty, and growing public frustration, leaving many to wonder if the dream of a modern Philippine railway would ever be realized. Each cancelled railway project was crucial for the Philippines' future. The Mindanao Railway promised to connect key cities, boost the economy, and foster peace in a historically underserved region. The Subic Clark Railway aimed to create a logistics corridor linking a major seaport to an international airport, vital for central Luzon's growth. The South Long Haul project would have revived the historic Bicol Express, slashing travel times and reconnecting the region to Manila. Together, these projects would have created jobs, improved logistics, and integrated the nation. Their cancellation leaves a void, forcing the country to rethink how to achieve these goals without Chinese support. The vision remains, but the path forward is uncertain. The decision to abandon the Chinese-funded railway deals was not made lightly. It was the culmination of years of anticipation, mounting frustration, and repeated setbacks. For a long time, the Philippine government had high hopes that these ambitious projects would transform the country's infrastructure and boost economic growth. But as months turned into years, the lack of progress became impossible to ignore. After submitting loan applications under President Duterte's administration, the government waited for a response from China. Even when President Marcos Jr. took office and made a renewed push, personally appealing to President Xi Jinping to move the projects forward, there was still no clear answer. The silence from Beijing was deafening, especially given the scale and importance of the proposed railways. This ongoing uncertainty left critical projects in limbo. Construction sites that were supposed to be bustling with activity, instead, sat idle, with equipment gathering dust and communities left waiting for promised progress. The delays didn't just stall national development, they also eroded public trust in the process. Transportation Secretary Jaime Bautista explained that the government had little choice. With no response from China, the Philippines was forced to reconsider its options. The lack of communication made it clear that relying on a single partner, no matter how powerful, was too risky for such vital projects. In October 2023, the Department of Finance took decisive action, formally withdrawing the loan requests. This marked a turning point, signaling that the Philippines would no longer wait indefinitely for promises that might never materialize. Importantly, this wasn't a rejection of the projects themselves. The need for better railways and modern infrastructure remains urgent. What the government rejected was the endless cycle of uncertainty and delay that had come to define the negotiations. With traffic worsening and economic opportunities slipping away, the government realized it could no longer afford to wait. Every day lost meant more Filipinos stuck in gridlock and more communities cut off from growth. The move marks a pragmatic shift in strategy. Instead of relying on promises, the Philippines is now seeking partners who can deliver real results, partners who value transparency, reliability, and timely action. The search for reliable alternatives began in earnest as the country looks to build a future where infrastructure dreams become reality, not just plans on paper. The China-funded railway saga is a timeline of hope, delay, and disappointment. From 2016 to 2022, the Philippines pursued Chinese investment, submitting loan applications and making optimistic announcements. But by the end of Duterte's term, China had taken no action and the applications lapsed. President Marcos Jr. tried to revive the deals in early 2023, even raising the issue in Beijing. Months passed with no progress, and in October 2023, the Philippines officially withdrew its request for Chinese funding. The chapter closed not with a breakthrough but with a quiet administrative decision. Grand promises ended in silence, forcing the country to move on. China's inaction wasn't the only concern. Recent construction failures in China have raised global doubts about safety and quality. In 2025, a deadly bridge collapse in Qinghai and a fatal train accident in Yunnan exposed serious safety lapses. Another newly built bridge in Sichuan partially collapsed soon after completion, though no one was hurt. These incidents, widely reported, have made countries like the Philippines more cautious about Chinese-led projects. They highlight the need for strict oversight, independent quality checks, and robust safety standards. China's reputation as a builder has taken a hit, making diversification of partners more attractive. For the Philippines, these events reinforce the wisdom of seeking new, more reliable collaborators. The cancellation of the railway deals has far-reaching effects, Politically, it signals a cooling of ties with Beijing and a pivot toward more dependable partners like the US and Japan, especially amid South China Sea tensions. Economically, the loss of nearly $5 billion in funding is a setback, forcing the government to seek new loans or public-private partnerships. For ordinary Filipinos, the delay means continued long commutes, high logistics costs, and missed opportunities. The experience has sparked debate about self-reliance and the risks of depending on a single foreign partner. While the short-term outlook is disappointing, the long-term lesson is clear: diversify partnerships and demand transparency. The hope is for a more resilient, strategic approach to national development. Philippine officials are now focused on proactive solutions, not regrets. Transportation Secretary Jaime Bautista made it clear, China's unresponsiveness left the country no choice but to move on. The government is now exploring partnerships with other countries, multilateral banks, and the private sector. The priority is finding partners who deliver on time and with transparency. Experts say this shift reflects a growing maturity, choosing certainty and speed over size of funding. The business community and public are cautiously optimistic, seeing potential in partners like the World Bank, ADB, Japan, and South Korea. These new alliances promise not just money, but technical expertise and reliability. The determination to build these railways remains strong, with or without China. The collapse of the China deal is a setback, but not the end of the story. The government is now engaging with a wider range of partners, prioritizing transparency, efficiency, and results. This experience is a lesson in the risks of over-reliance and the need for clear, accountable agreements. The vision for a modern railway network endures, but with greater scrutiny and higher standards. The journey ahead will require patience and political will, but the resolve to connect the nation is stronger than ever. The story of these railways is a reminder that national progress depends on action, not just promises. The ultimate goal remains to unite the islands, empower communities, and build a better future for all Filipinos.